Hello all that have tuned into today's video. The video, as you all have already noticed by the title, is about the moon-scorched forms from Fear and Hunger Termina. I will be dipping into these beings and the lore that surrounds them. Feel free to comment on your discourse or theories in the comments section below. If you think my opinion is wrong, if you've noticed something I haven't, please do let me know. And what do you think your moon-scorched form would look like? Now, let's dip into the tip of this iceberg. Moonscorch, also referred to as moonlight cancer, is a harsh and peculiar ailment inflicted upon humans by the moon god Rhea within the universe of Fear and Hunger. Rhea is a trickster god, and when asked about Rhea, the old gods state, trickster god, also known as the moon god, he is one of the last older gods to still observe mankind. He is a jealous kind. He would not share the godhood and the world order with humans and the new gods. He has many ploys to diminish our influence, suggesting this whole dilemma is of an egotistical standpoint. Because he believes that men should not possess the same rights as true gods, he employs various schemes to undermine the influence of the new gods. However, his motivations remain cryptic to the old gods. Lady of the Moon and Pocket Cat serve him, both dedicated to eliminating children to thwart humanity's potential ascent. During these occurrences, he gains a new servant, Perkele, who acts as his spokesperson and observer. Nonetheless, it is later revealed that Rhea has departed from the realm, and Perkele has utilized his remnants as a decoy, aligning with a different god altogether known as the Sulphur God. It is revealed that once a mortal human, Perkele encountered a Termina festival in the distant past, proclaiming it as the moment of his true birth. With eerie determination, Perkele challenges the festival's victor to a deadly duel. As he sheds his garments to prepare for the clash, observers may glimpse his decaying torso, a sign of his advanced state of decomposition. Perkele's name even has symbolism practically scratching at the doorframe for us. It derives from Suomi/Finnish term within the Finnic-Ugric languages, Perkele, signifying devil or malevolent spirit. This name traces back to the Indo-European roots, specifically linked to the Proto-Indo-European god of thunder named Perk-Unos. Additionally, it shares connections with other terms in the Balto-Finnic subset of the Finnic-Ugric language family, known as Polgu in Estonian, meaning hell, Perkele in Karelian, representing an evil spirit, due to the god of thunder's association with a different religious tradition, namely paganism. Contrasting with the Abrahamic beliefs of Christianity, the name became vilified, leading to its transformation into a profanity, commonly used as an expletive by modern Suomi/Finnish speakers. And with all this information, I feel this further solidifies the almost silent and aching horror symbolism of Fear and Hunger Termina. And with that all out of the way, we can dip further into the affliction itself. This affliction serves as a punishment for those who resist partaking in the festival of Termina or fail to eliminate their fellow participants swiftly enough. Throughout Fear and Hunger Termina, the player character will encounter numerous moon-scorched entities, potentially including former contestants. What does the moon-scorch signify in Fear and Hunger? Well, firstly, if we dip into surface symbolism, their contoured, monstrous shapes reflect their inner turmoil or unresolved issues, like one representing regret and guilt for past deeds, while another embodies aspirations for greater achievements. Moonscorch appears to have been a recognized ailment among humanity since ancient times, documented as early as the 9th century under the name of moonlight cancer. Typically, individuals afflicted with this condition exhibit severe discolored burns, dry and cracked skin, as well as abnormal growths and scarring. As the illness progresses, it induces significant bodily distortions, often commencing with facial features becoming stretched and contorted, culminating in victims experiencing an unbearable sensation of something crawling inside them before undergoing complete transformation into a moon-scorched being. Those affected by Moonscorch often descend into homicidal madness, attacking perceived outsiders on sight. However, many still retain fragments of their former identities and allegiances, while most Moonscorch beings resemble deformed humans with varying levels of insanity. Some manifest notably monstrous or animalistic traits and acquire supernatural abilities as a consequence of their metamorphosis, ranging from enhanced strength to spellcasting. In 1942, the entire population of Prehevel, along with the occupying Bremen family, fell victim to Moonscorch as punishment for failing to conclude the Termina festival. The transformations of the townsfolk seemed gradual, occurring over hours or days, whereas those of new contestants were notably swift, likely due to Rare's increasing impatience. With some examples of a few of the characters, we can theorize some of the transformations. With Marina, you have Cocoon. Marina's moon-scorched appearance bears striking similarities to her human form, albeit with distinct alterations. Additional limbs sprout from her body, while her former head and torso fuse into a cocoon-like structure. A new human head emerges from her used-to-be groin area, tethered to the cocoon. Despite her reluctance, Marina feels compelled to engage in combat, seemingly guided by the cocoon, which she identifies as her father. Marina's backstory offers various interpretations of the symbolism behind her moon-scorched form. The presence of the cocoon, whether formed from the deceased father Domek's remains or not, could symbolize her enduring concerns and anxieties about her father. The emergence of a new head from beneath her skirt may represent her father's imposition of a masculine social role for her, one which he believed she should have embraced. This interpretation could also elucidate why the cocoon occupies the space where Marina's own head once resided, illustrating how even in death, Father Domek maintains control over her. The symbolism of the cocoon stemming from her groin area depicts that in her mind, her body's form didn't feel like her own choice, or it didn't matter. And with Samari, we have dysmorphia. In Samari's moon-scorched state, she transforms into a towering humanoid figure, with her skin undergoing a profound metamorphosis, forming a protective armor. Her facial skin has been meticulously peeled off and stretched around her head like a rim, resulting in the loss of one eye and creating a macabre halo-like appearance. With her teeth exposed due to the absence of skin, she wears a fixed smile-like expression on her face. The term dysmorphia denotes a mental health condition characterized by excessive self-consciousness about physical flaws. Samari's moon-scorched form could symbolize her intense self-loathing, viewing her monstrous appearance as a distorted, ideal form in contrast to her true self. Her repeated assertions of being radiating support this interpretation. And with Dan, we have Pocket Cat. Dan will end up somewhat replacing Pocket Cat in his moon-scorched form. The prevailing theories I've encountered online suggest that Dan's tragic life may have rendered him particularly susceptible to possession by Pocket Cat, or that his blank soul acts as an unmarked canvas for the manifestation of Rare's servant. While it's apparent that Dan could potentially hold a deeper connection to both Rare and the Sulphur God in terms of his backstory, nothing has been confirmed. However, Pocket Cat demonstrates a clear bias towards Dan. Some other small character notes on Moonscorched forms are Levi's Weeping Scope, which depicts Levi's whole head swallowed up by a large, flesh-covered scope, pointing to his life spent on the battlefield, and Olivia's Mechanical Dance. The Mechanical Dance is the humanoid machine form that Olivia adopts when in her moon-scorched state. Instead of legs, her form boasts a massive vent system, while her hands transform into two blade-like appendages. Her turning animations suggest that her wheelchair is fused to her as part of this state. Despite the power and strength conveyed by her new form, the Mechanical Dance appears visibly distressed, weeping and lamenting that she has been this way forever. This may stem from her deep-seated fear of living in the shadow of her sister, Relia, a sentiment she has harbored since childhood. This is reinforced by the fact that Olivia possesses the shadowed soul, contrasting with Relia's radiating soul. The form likely reflects Olivia's anxiety about being confined to a wheelchair and facing an indefinite future limited by her physical condition. She fears that others will perceive her solely through the lens of her disability rather than recognizing her for who she truly is. Some backstory on Relia. Olivia's sister, Relia ends up becoming the god of logic, the machine god. And it's conceivable that the mechanical dance was drawn to the museum because of its proximity to logic. The mechanized attributes of this form might partially stem from the influence of logic, the machine god, especially considering Olivia's close connection to Relia. Logic has also demonstrated the ability to disrupt Rare's influence, suggesting the possibility that it could also affect the moon-scorched forms of his contestants. And with all that, while there are many more things I can go on about, and every other moon-scorched form in the game I can talk about, we are here to dive into the aspect of it as a whole. And whilst there are other videos that have spoken of this, I'm going to put my 2 cents in as well. My assumption, especially given the mental horror and timing that takes place within the game, is moonscorching is not so much a question of why, it's more when. Moonscorch causes people to mutate into forms that reflect their darkest anxieties and negative perceptions of themselves. Caligula, a self-absorbed narcissist street gang member, becomes a monster, massive beast, he lives in sewage. Levi, traumatized addict who spent most of his life on the battlefield, becomes Weeping Scope, an exposed man with a rifle for a face that constantly wails. Everyone's moon-scorched form relates directly to their past and deep-seated feelings about their identities. Rare's influence blankets the town and is kind of a gentle push that inspires people to become monsters. The weaker folks, those with lots of self-doubt and anxiety, like the, for example, impoverished people of the eastern shantytown, likely succumbed immediately, resisting very little and jumping straight to peeling at their skin and attacking others indiscriminately. Stronger ones, namely the town's wealthy elite such as those in the museum, use much of their willpower and confidence to hold themselves back from becoming extremely mutated. We can see from right at the beginning of the game, as soon as the train stops in Pre-Hevel, all 14 of the contestants begin to be influenced by Rare. Some contestants, like Abella and Heinrich, can become moonscorched by day 1 evening. This is likely due to their urge to isolate themselves from others. While Dan and Karen explore the town and interact with the contestants, Abella goes to Tunnel 7 and Heinrich sequesters in the Mayor's Manor. Both of these places are nearly devoid of life, and this sudden isolation likely pushes their existing fears over the edge far quicker than any of the others. The moon's influence does ramp up in intensity as time goes on. Everybody turns by day 3 night. This includes confident, self-assured individuals like Tanaka and Karen. If playing on masochism mode, which starts at day 3 night, Rare's influence becomes so strong that even spending a full minute out in the moonlight results in immediately becoming moon-scorched. Despite this, it's easy to see the correlation that the first people to become moon-scorched have a great deal of psychological weakness, while the last to go are more level-headed mentally. We have a clear insight now to how this is about heart versus mind, especially given the prior information about Logic the Machine God, which just leave us with the question in its simplest form. What is Moonscorch? The trickster god Rare created this affliction with just one thing in mind: to remind humanity they're weak to their own insecurities and traumas. It's his way of getting his last laugh and causing chaos before leaving the realm. However, if Perkele and the Sulphur God are involved for another reason, we do not know. But until then, this has been Jinx Trade, and my very first video on the affliction Moonscorched from Fear and Hunger Termina. If you've stayed this long, thank you for watching. I hope you stick around to the next one.